So we are doing question number 2 now, May 2022, paper 4-2. And the question is related to the random number generation of a 2D array with 10 by 10 elements. That means 10 rows and 10 columns. Okay, so the question says that there is a 2D array that we have to initialize with the random number between 1 and 100 in each element. Okay, for that we have to use the random library, and then we have to, since there are 10 rows and 10 columns, so there are multiple ways of doing this. Let's first create a 2D array with 10 by 10 dimensions. So we'll create, they've not given us a name, so maybe, okay, so they have given a name in the next part. It's called array data, so we'll use that name. Array data is equal to like this, and then you guys know the drill. So inside the inner brackets, double inner brackets, we have for, or let's say 0 for column in range 10 columns, and then between these two would be the row for 1 to 10 rows, like this. So it would end up creating a 1D array that would have 10 zeros like this, and then this would be multiplied 10 times. So you'll have multiple rows or 1D arrays with 10 zeros. You can initialize it with any other value of your choice, it's up to you. Okay, now in part B, they are, okay, so it's not complete. We also have to save a value between 1 to 100 here. So we'll have to iterate through every row and column, and then we have to store a value. So for that, I'll say for row in range 10, for column in range 10, and then we'll say array data is equal to random.randint, and here we'll write 1 comma 100. So in Python, these parameters are inclusive, okay? So we don't have to go all the way till 101. It's included in the question, in the generation part. So this is how it will be. So for every row and every column, it will keep on generating a random number. Simple enough. And let's print this as always, just to make sure that our code is working correctly. And that should be the case. Yep, 91, 33, 37, 197, 83, etc. Okay, then they have a bubble sort in pseudocode written here, where the data in the first dimension is sorted into ascending numerical order. They're saying you have to amend your main program to implement the bubble sort. After the initialization of array elements, you must not use any built-in sorting method. So we have to do this manually, or in simple words, we just have to convert this into Python. Let's start. So they've asked us to write this in the main program. Okay, so we're not going to create any procedures or functions. So this is all main program, main, like this. And we can get rid of the print statement for now. Okay, or let's keep it so we can compare before and after. All right, so array length is equal to 10. And then we have for x, so we have to keep the same variables and their case sensitivity as well. And then for y in range array length -2, it simply means -1. Why am I doing -1? Because range will automatically do -1, and then if I add another -1, this becomes -2. Then we have another one, which is the triple loop. So that is for z in range 0, comma array length -y and -2. So instead of writing 2, I will write 1, because again, range will automatically deduct 1 from the last value. So we are not going to do it 2 times, because if I write 2 here, it will do it 3 times. So this should be 1. This is a common mistake in the exam, and then everything else is pretty much the same. So if array data x and dimension z, if we go there, if this value is greater than array data z plus 1, then we're going to use the temp value. So temp value is equal to array data x and z, in z uppercase, and then we have array data x and z will store the value of the next value, and then we're going to bring the value from the temp into the current value. That's it, and no endifs, nothing else. And we can also write it in one line. Okay, so we can say array data x z comma array data x z plus 1, and we can just solve them in the same row. This is also perfectly allowed. Okay? In fact, it's sometimes written in the marquee scheme as well. I think that it should be the case for this as well. So if you don't want to do this, you can do it the simple classical way using the temp variable. Okay, next part they're saying write the program code for a procedure to output all the values in the 2D array. The values should be output as a 2D grid with the values in rows and columns. Okay, so that means we have to output the values in this sort of a way. So it should be something like this. So A, B, C, D, and then this would be one row. Then E, F, G, H. Obviously, there wouldn't be any commas here. Okay, so we have to print this in a grid format like a table. Okay, so they're saying create a procedure for that. So we'll go all the way before the main function, and here we'll define, let's call it print array values maybe, or just let's say print array. And it's going to take a 2D array. So our array is called array data. You can call it anything else, by the way, it doesn't matter. And then we have to simply print the values. Okay, in order to print the values, we'll just go through each value one by one, and then we will print it. So in order to do that, we have to go through all the rows and columns. So for row in range 10 or column in range 10, and then I'm going to print the value of array data row column, and let's just print it like this for now. And I'll skip it and I'll call print array like this. Let's see. Okay, it doesn't print in the grid format, right? So can you guys tell me? In order to do that, we have to use this end keyword. So basically print will automatically add what we call a line break, which will take it into the next line. So we don't want to take the output to the next line. We want to stay in the same line. So I'll just write end is equal to, and this is by default /n. I'm going to change this to a space like this. Okay, now if I print it, it will end up printing everything in the same line. We don't want that as well. We want every row separated. So what we'll do is outside the inner for loop, once all the columns have been printed, I'll just print an empty line like this, empty print statement, and then it works perfectly. So every row goes on a separate line. This is how we print it in a grid format. Then they're saying test your program and take a screenshot to show the output. All right, simple enough. Then we are going to move to the next part. Next question is part C. They are saying that there's a pseudocode that uses recursion to perform a binary search, and for the values, so the function returns -1, otherwise the index of array found. So you guys know the deal with binary search. We start from the mid index and then we go to either left or right depending on the sorted array. So there's 6 incomplete statements. They're saying that they will perform arithmetic operation division, and you have to write the program code for binary search. All right, so we have to create a function for this. Let's hide all of this, or we can just hide this part. Okay, so define binary search. So we have the following parameters. We have search array as given in the question. Then we have the lower, upper, and the search value. So search value, lower, upper, search value like this. Okay, then it says use return integer. We're not going to write that. And then, okay, so before we actually implement this, what is going to happen? If the search array recursive call, and so if the search array that we have, whatever the array value is, if we go to the 0th row and this column there, if we end up finding the value there, then we are simply going to return the value that we found at which would be at the mid index. So we're simply going to return the value of mid. Otherwise, if the current value is greater, so again, going with an example, 12, 20, 50, 90, 100. So if we start with 50 and we're looking for 50, so we'll simply return the index 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. So we'll simply return the index 4, 2. And otherwise, what we'll check is, let's say we're looking for 90, since 90 is greater than 50. So what will happen is our start will go to 90 and our end would remain at 100. And let's say if we're looking for maybe 12, because it's on the left side of 50, so start remains there and end will be reinitialized to mid minus 1. So it will end up pointing to 20. So in this case, what will happen is when we'll make the recursive call, so in the second parameter, we have the lower there. So we are just going to change the value of lower there. The value of lower would not change because we're going to the right side. So in the right side, the value of upper changes. Similarly, if we are going to if the value that we're looking for is actually greater than the current value, so we will go right, and in that case we'll update the right point. So that's pretty much the whole idea. So let's quickly write this. We'll say if upper is greater than equal to lower, then we'll write mid is equal to mid, m is capital, so mid is equal to lower plus upper minus 1. And this is a diff, so in Python we use double slash for diff, like this. And then we're going to check if the search value is search array 0 mid. This means 0th row and this mid number column is equal to the search value that we're looking for. It should be double equal. If that is the case, then we're going to return the value of the mid. That would be the index value. Else, if we are looking for the value, but that value, if the search value is smaller than the current value at the mid, so we're going to go in the on the left side, so the value of the end pointer will change. So we'll say return binary search. First parameter is search array, remains the same. Lower remains the same because that's the start pointer, and the end pointer will change now. So the end pointer is set to mid minus 1 as done in the question. We don't have to do anything here, and this would be search value. Okay, else if that is not the case, so if the search value is greater than the current value that we're looking at, so we have to move right. And in that case, we will simply do mid plus 1 on the lower, and the upper will remain the same. Simple enough. So this is done.
Why do we do mid minus 1?
Then the question, okay, so we also have to return minus 1, so else return minus 1 like this. So this should be parallel to this if condition. Oh, here we go. I'll just reopen the file. All right, so with this we are done with all the questions till part C, I believe. Yes. Okay, then they're saying in the main program, test the function binary search twice, outputting the return value each time. One test should be for a number that is in the first line of the array. Okay. And then one value that is not in the first line of the array, take a screenshot of this. Okay, so we just have to call these and we have to just make sure that the program is working. So maybe binary search, and we have the array that is called array data, and then we'll start with the lower value, which would be 0, and the upper value would be length of the array data minus 1, because our indices start from 0, so we go the length of the array minus 1 times, and then search value could be anything, and then we run this and we can print the value. Maybe let's save it as response, and we can print the response value.